Hi, this is Daryl Myatt from Keller, Texas. Today is Friday, finally, March 4th, 2011. Quite a few things going on. I'm in a bit of a hurry today, so forgive me if I seem a bit rushed. This first story is out of worldtribune.com. Headline says, NATO, China, Russia reach informal consensus. Gadhafi must go. This out of London today. NATO has quietly assessed that Libyan ruler Muammar Gadhafi must be quickly toppled to avoid a protracted civil war that would jeopardize energy supplies. There it is. It's all about the oil. And is it just me? How come we can't get the proper spelling of Gadhafi? I mean, how hard is it? Hey, how do you spell your last name? I mean, I see some start with a G, some start with a Q, some have an H in there, some don't. I think the guy is just Gadhafi. He's like Daffy Duck. Anyway, just my thoughts. Diplomats and analysts said the Western alliance, led by Britain, France, Germany, and the United States, have informally agreed that Gadhafi should be quietly but quickly removed from power in Libya. They said special forces from several NATO countries have begun helping the Libyan opposition to destroy regime assets. The NATO position has been discussed with China, Russia, diplomatic sources said. They said Beijing and Moscow have also determined that Gadhafi must not be allowed to remain in power. How are they going to make that happen? If NATO does nothing, Gadhafi could regain most of Libya, a Western diplomatic source said. This prospect is highly threatening to Western interests, both in terms of energy as well as terrorism. Okay, so it's mostly about the oil, but terrorists too. Again, I'm a little baffled by this oil thing. If they know that we have here in America more oil than all of Saudi Arabia and most of the Middle East together combined, why are they waiting to get it? Just because a few environmentalists said, no, don't hurt the trees. And believe me, I'm all for protecting the environment and this great earth that God provided for us. However, if there's an answer right here at home, and we can start withdrawing all this oil from Alaska, from North and South Dakota, from that Montana area, from the Gulf, from Texas, from everywhere we possibly can, the Sierras, the Rocky Mountains, there's all kinds of oil deposits that they know about. And it could create more jobs. It could help us pay down our national debt. What is it, like $3 trillion that we owe, and more than half of that is to China? I'm probably off on my numbers. I don't even know how many zeros a trillion has in it. Don't know. Was it like, I don't know, 18? Anyway, think of all the jobs we could create if we started extracting all this oil. Could help a lot of people. I think America needs to get back to the time when we were in the manufacturing phase of this country, when we were building all kinds of things, steel up in Pittsburgh and cars in Detroit and building so many things. How are all these other countries building things with such cheap labor? Maybe we need to have a look at some of the younger people that want to make money. And I'm not talking child labor. I'm talking, teenagers, 12, 13, 14, that want to work a couple hours a week, make some money so they can buy their video games or whatever. I don't see anything wrong with that. I had my own business when I was 12. I had a hay hauling business and a custom plowing business. I did all kinds of things. Just saying, I wouldn't impose something on someone else that I wouldn't do myself. So anyway, I think hard work is good for people. And the earlier we can start them to understand the value of working hard for your money, why not? Oh, that should create some controversy. Let's see. So the world is pretty much saying Gadhafi has to go, and they're going to see what they have to do to make that happen. Here's something out of yahoo.com. Al-Qaida number 2 calls for Islamic rule in Egypt. This out of Cairo today. Osama bin Laden's deputy is urging fellow Egyptians to establish Islamic rule over the country after ousting President Hosni Mubarak, who sought to curb Islamists throughout his nearly 30 years in power. Al-Qaeda's Ayman al-Zawahri made the appeal in an internet audio message released today, his second recording since Mubarak was forced out on February 11th. It is unlikely his call for an Islamic State will resonate among the overwhelmingly majority of those who took part in the 18-day popular uprising and seek a democratic system to replace Mubarak's autocratic rule. We'll see how that works out. I still think the Muslim Brotherhood is going to have a lot to say about that, and there could be more fighting over who's going to take power in Egypt. Here's something out of Yahoo also. Israel eyes diplomatic initiative to end isolation. Out of Jerusalem, facing growing isolation over the impasse in peace talks, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu is planning a new initiative to set up a Palestinian state within temporary borders, press reports said today. The Israeli premier is largely expected to announce his new diplomatic initiative during a visit to the United States in May, in an address to the U.S. Congress, or at the annual meeting of the pro-Israel lobby group AIPAC. Details of the plan are still sketchy, but the idea is believed to involve the establishment of a Palestinian state within temporary borders while providing guarantees about talks on final status issues, said the Ma'ariv newspaper. Okay, so they're still trying for peace, and God bless them for that. I'm glad they're trying. I'd like to see them reach some kind of agreement, but you know what? It's all in God's timing. It's going to happen when God wants it to happen. I've been telling you a lot lately about these Muslim attacks all over the world, and here's another one, and you probably won't see this on CNN. You're not going to hear it on your local news. This is out of AINA.org. Ethiopian Muslims burned down 5 churches, and more attacks are feared. This out of Washington today. The International Christian Concern, the ICC, has learned that in the past 2 days, thousands of Muslims have razed 5 churches and the homes of 2 evangelists in Asindabo, Ethiopia. Asindabo? I don't know how you say it. Christian leaders are asking for protection after the Muslim attackers continued burning churches even after the federal police were sent to the town. The Muslims started the attacks yesterday after falsely accusing the Christians of desecrating the Quran. Okay, well, the Quran has desecrated the Holy Bible, so touché. More than 10,000 Muslims shouted Allah Akbar. I'm so sick of hearing this. As they burned down 5 evangelical churches. The government sent the federal police force to protect the Christians after the Muslims burned down the first 3 churches. The Muslims overwhelmed the police force and burned down 2 more churches today. Speaking with ICC, Christian leaders expressed their fear that Muslims will start killing the Christians unless the government sends more security forces to contain the Muslim attackers. At the time of writing this report, none of the Muslim attackers had been arrested. The government officials detained some Christians and took them to nearby Jimma town, stating that they need to do that for their own security. Ethiopia is a Christian majority country and was one of the first nations to accept Christianity. However, in the areas of the country where Muslims are the majority, Christians face attacks. Funny, you don't hear of the Christians attacking the Muslims. Why? Because they're praying for them. Huge difference. How is it that these Muslims have become known as the religion of peace? When they kill everyone that opposes them, when they kill people that say something bad about their Quran, when they kill people that question them why they believe what they believe. Wake up, world. Look and see what's really happening here. These people are trying to overtake the world and dominate everyone and make you bow to their God, who is a false moon god. It says, we urge Ethiopian government forces to send reinforcement to protect the Christians in the city of Asindabo from the Muslim attacks. We ask Christians around the world to prevent any further attacks by calling the Ethiopian officials in their countries and asking them to protect the Christians and their property, said ICC's regional manager for Africa, Jonathan Rocco. Rocco. That's a cool name. Speaking of Muslims, here's something out of Arcamax in the religious news section. Jury finds creator of a poster innocent. This out of Malmö, Sweden. A Swedish jury says the man who created a poster of a naked Prophet Muhammad with his 9-year-old wife didn't violate any laws. Okay, first of all, who has a 9-year-old wife? That's sick. Okay, that's sick and twisted and perverted and disgusting. A jury in Malmo said Wednesday Carl P. Herslow was innocent of charges of agitation against an ethnic group, the Swedish news agency TT reported. Herslow, the leader of the Skane political party, admitted he created the poster, which included the text, "He is 53 and she is 9. Is this the kind of wedding we want to see in Skane?" The intention was to provoke a strong reaction among both Muslims and non-Muslims, Herslow said. I guarantee you the Muslims will have a strong reaction. The others will just laugh and go, "Ha, that's right." Prosecutor Bo Bergerson said the poster was disrespectful to Muslims, and he argued a conviction would not violate Herslow's right. No, he argued a conviction would not violate Herslow's right to freedom of speech. Okay. A conviction is important to show where the boundaries are for debate in an open and democratic society, Bergerson said. The jury returned its decision after less than an hour. Juries are only used in Sweden in freedom of speech cases. Freedom of speech, okay? We still have it in America. I believe the Prophet Muhammad was a murderer, a rapist, a pedophile, a child, many things. I do not believe he was a prophet of God. I do believe he was misled by Satan disguising himself as an angel of light in this cave. What angel anywhere in any other story except that one appeared to someone in a cave, in the darkness of a cave where the light of truth could not be found? Just saying, just saying. Here's something out of the New York Daily News. Kind of off the beaten track here, but this is just a little slice of what's happening in America. MS-13 gang member yelled, "The beast has eaten," after the murder of a man he mistook for a blood. That's according to a witness, an eyewitness. An MS-13 gang member whooped it up, shouting, "The beast has eaten," after murdering a Queens man he mistook for a rival blood, a government witness testified Thursday. Julio Chavez is charged with emptying his revolver into Maurice Parker in Flushing, New York. He hopped into an SUV, flashed some gang signs, and yelled in Spanish, "Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it." Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of the story. This just kind of gives you an idea of the godlessness and the lawlessness that is overtaking many parts of this world. Jesus told us about it. Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. He told us all about the things that are going to happen prior to his return, and we're watching them happen all over the world. Just trying to help you see that, people. There's only one truth, and that's Jesus Christ. He's the only way to God the Father. The only way. There is no other way. Okay? I've been talking about parables lately. In Luke 18, verse 1, it says, "Then he spoke a parable to them, that men always ought to pray and not lose heart." So, have you ever lost heart in prayer? No matter how long or how passionately you plead with God, you just don't sense anything is ever happening. You cry out day and night and nothing. You ever been there? I have. I mean, it's all you can bear before the questions start tumbling in your mind. You know, what's the use? Why bother? What's the point? He doesn't hear me anyway. He doesn't answer. Well, God always has reasons for not answering our prayers right away. But know this. The Lord also understands the discouragement that we go through when His answers are delayed. He knows it. So much so that He shared a parable to encourage us when we are on the brink of giving up. Okay, if you read in Luke 18, verse 2 through 8, Jesus said, there was in a certain city a judge who did not fear God nor regard man. Now there was a widow in that city, and she came to him saying, "Get justice for me from my adversary." And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, "Though I do not fear God nor regard man, yet because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me." So he's like, please stop. Then the Lord said, "Hear what the unjust judge said. And shall God not avenge His own elect who cry out day and night to Him, though He bears long with them? I tell you that He will avenge them speedily." Okay? As tempting as it is to quit, Jesus warns us not to. It may seem like nothing is happening in the heavenlies, but something is. Okay? God is taking note, and He is keeping track. He hears every one of our prayers. And really, He answers them all. Sometimes it's no, Sometimes it's not now, and sometimes it's yes. And we all need to be aware of that. He's listening to those of us who cry out to Him day and night, and the hour will come when the answer will come. But it's going to be in His timing, not our timing. And I know, if you're like me, and we've become so impatient, and we're such an instant gratification society. I mean, who gets frustrated when your download doesn't happen like that? You're like, oh, this is taking more than 5 seconds. This is ridiculous, right? You know, we've got fast food. We've got drive-through coffee shops. We've got everything happening now. We're the now generation. I want it, and I want it now, right? We can't be that way in our prayer life. It's not according to our timing. Trust me, I've been on my knees a lot lately. A lot of issues happening. And I'm right there with this person. I'm pleading, crying out. And I know I'll get an answer. I know I will. But don't give up. Just because you're not seeing results from your prayer, don't give up. God never will give up on you. Don't you ever give up on Him. I want to finish today some of my favorite scriptures from Jesus, starting in John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through Him might be saved. Didn't say would be saved, said might be saved, because He's offering you that gift of salvation. You have to accept it, though. It's not automatic. You have to accept it. Let's continue in verse 18. He who believes in Him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. People, Jesus Christ is the only way to God the Father. There's no other way. There's none. Prophet Muhammad won't save you. Joseph Smith won't save you. The Book of Mormon won't save you. Hinduism, Scientology. You know, I think people get so wrapped up in doctrines of denominations within the church. And I'm not bashing denominations. I grew up in the Baptist church. I'm not in it now. I'm in a non-denominational. But I think we need to focus on Jesus. The real Jesus. The Jesus from the Holy Bible. The Son of God, God in flesh. The Savior of mankind. Who will be coming back again. Only this time when He comes back, He won't be that meek and mild little baby Jesus. The Lamb. He's going to come back with a sword. Okay? It's going to be different. Every knee will bow to Him. Everyone will tremble at His presence. It's going to be way different. You need to know Him. Okay? You need to know Him. Let me continue. And this is the condemnation, that the light has come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone practicing evil hates the light, and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. Does not come to a light, so maybe meeting in a cave? But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen, that they have been done in God. Listen, people, if you don't get anything else from me, please get this. Jesus Christ came into this world to save sinners from hell. All you have to do is accept Him as your Lord and Savior. If you need to know how, send me a message. Okay? He is the only way. There is no other name under heaven by which you may be saved. None. He's the only one. And I pray you know Him. And I pray you have a good weekend. And I pray you go and worship Him and take a friend this weekend. Okay? God bless you guys. Good Lord willing, I'll see you again on Monday. And possibly, I might be able to upload another Paul video between now and Monday. Who knows? We'll see how my schedule goes. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.